I grew up loving arcade games and arcade ports, from the Atari 2600 to the Commodore 64, but I completely skipped the NES back then. Now that I finally have one, I have been hooked on discovering how many great arcade conversions it actually had. Hey, I'm Dr. Scott, and this is the Game Closet, and today I'm sharing 10 of my favorites, the ones that really capture that classic coin-op magic. And if there's one that you think belongs on this list, let me know down in the comments. Just kind of typey, and let me know which ones you think are great arcade ports for the NES. And trust me, the NES port of Bad Dudes is not on this list. I guarantee it. So let's jump in. If you're a fan of shoot-'em-ups or shmups, Life Force, aka Salamander, is one of the best arcade to NES conversions out there. Now, I'll admit, I stink at most shmups, and Life Force is no exception, but even knowing that, I can't stop coming back for the chaotic, punishing fun. I have fun no matter what, even though I keep dying over and over and over. I know you guys do too, but trust me, I'm a special case. You pilot a spaceship through alien-infested corridors in open space, alternating between horizontal and vertical scrolling levels. Listen, the tension never lets up here. The NES port does an impressive job keeping the arcade's pace and frantic energy, even if the graphics are slightly scaled down. It's relentless, it's addictive, and it's absolutely punishing. You die, retry, learn, die again, and somehow, well, it just never gets old for me. Even though I keep coming back to it and it just kind of points its finger at me and laughs at me. Or is that its middle finger? I can't tell. And if you're a real fan of Life Force, here's a treat. Life Force is the game that popularized the legendary Konami code. Perfect for players who stink at it like me. Look it up, it'll help you survive the chaos, kind of like dealing with an insatiable girlfriend. Ah, Galaga, the arcade classic that made everyone feel like a star pilot until your ship got tractor beamed and you watched your extra life just fly away. The NES port just nails it. Enemy formations, swooping ships, and that hypnotic little music that all make you feel like you're going back into the arcade, quarters at the ready. It's fast, frantic, and addictive, the perfect just one more round game. I should know I would watch my best friend plunk quarters away in this thing, and he was good at it too. He would just keep plunking the quarters away. Well, he really didn't have to. That was actually me plunking the quarters away. He would just use 1 quarter and kind of laugh at me and go, ha ha ha, I used 1 quarter. How many did you use? 10 bucks worth? The graphics are simpler than the arcade, sure, but the gameplay is rock solid, and let's be honest, nothing beats the rush of rescuing your captured ship and doubling your firepower until you crash immediately into the next wave of bugs. It's classic, challenging, and endlessly replayable. Galaga proves that you don't need flashy graphics to have a ridiculously fun arcade experience at home on the NES. So how did I come up with this list? Did I scour Reddit, YouTube, and endless comment sections on the best NES arcade ports? No. These are just my favorites determined through years of rigorous scientific research, caffeine, and poor life choices. Let's get back to it. Now, here's a game that proves you don't need fireballs or space lasers to have a good time. It's Popeye. It's also a game that'll show you how bad I am at playing it. Yeah, it's a fun game, I gotta tell you. When I used to play this in the arcade, it was so much fun, but I haven't played it in years. It's just a sailor, a jealous giant, and a whole lot of heart chasing from that awesome cartoon babe, Olive Oyl. As Popeye, you're running around collecting Olive Oyl's floating love notes while dodging Bluto, your nemesis who clearly skipped leg day, but he never skips arm day. Before Mario was rescuing princesses, he was chasing spinach. Popeye is a weirdly charming little relic. It's part strategy, part panic attack, and full-on cartoon chaos. The NES version nails the arcade energy. It's colorful, goofy, fast, and it's way harder than it looks. Nintendo actually made this one before Mario really took off, and funny enough, Donkey Kong only existed because they couldn't get the Popeye license at first, so technically, we owe all of Mario's success to Popeye. Kinda, sorta. You think you're good until Bluto climbs the ladder right in your face, or the Sea Hag pops up just when you least expect it. Then you suddenly realize this game was made to humble you. It's not flashy at all, but it's got that old school just one more try magic that makes you forget how many times you've been punched into the ocean. Somehow, even after all the near-death moments, you keep coming back because Popeye is just that fun. If you've ever dreamed of smashing through dungeons with a wizard, warrior, Valkyrie, or elf without ever leaving your living room, Gauntlet II on the NES is your jam. Playing with friends in the arcade was amazing. Heck, even if a random stranger jumped in to help, you were happy for the backup. Gauntlet was one of the first truly 4-player arcade experiences, and it defined pure chaotic mayhem, running through mazes, dodging monsters, grabbing potions, and trying not to starve while your friends screamed over who ate the last of the food. Now, I'll be really honest with you. I don't think that the first Gauntlet on the NES is all that pretty. It's not as close to the arcade as Gauntlet 2 is. So this NES port nails the arcade feel, tight controls, clear visuals, and yes, the absolute panic of running out of food or getting swarmed by ghosts. Even with just 2 players, it still captures that just one more level magic that we've been talking about today. And of course, nothing beats accidentally knocking your friend into a wall, grabbing some food or some magic, and blaming the controller. Classic Gauntlet chaos. That's what that is. Blame it all on your controller. It'd be a few years before we could play a Gauntlet game at home with 4 players on a Nintendo console. And that, my friends, is a tale for another video. If you were the kind of kid who stayed home on Friday nights watching Knight Rider, then you probably remember the arcade classic Joust. This was one of those games that instantly brought out your competitive side, whether you were facing off against a buddy or trying to outlast those relentless AI enemies. Instead of spaceships or tanks, you're flying an ostrich. Yep, an ostrich, using timing, precision, and a little gravity to knock opponents off their perches. And man, my thumb hurt on this NES controller after playing this game. Oh my gosh. It's simple, it is very chaotic, and it's weirdly addictive. Every round feels like a mini grudge match against either, well, a friend or, as I said, the AI opponents. Honestly, Joust would have been even better as a 4-player arcade game, kind of like Gauntlet was. Imagine the chaos. If that had carried over to home consoles, maybe Joust would have been even better remembered as the game that brought friends together rather than GoldenEye. But hey, it's never too late to dream, right? Now, the NES port's not arcade perfect, but it nails the core gameplay, the flying ostriches, the bouncing enemies and all. 2-player matches are still intense, and the CPU, well, it keeps you on your toes. Sure, the graphics are a little simpler, and a little of the arcade's fluidity is gone, but it's still every bit as frantic and fun, just with a few less feathers flying, that's all. Qbert was one of those arcade games that took just a little getting used to, hopping around a pyramid, changing colors, and avoiding all sorts of foul-mouthed spitball-throwing enemies. The arcade joystick made it precise, but the NES port does a solid job of bringing that pyramid chaos home. The controls aren't perfect, but the nice thing is the NES version does give you the opportunity to change the orientation of how you would like to jump around on the pyramid, and that's actually a very nice touch. Now, the levels, the quirky enemies, and that mistakable boing sound are still there, and they make you feel like you're right there playing the arcade game. I remember as a kid getting so frustrated when I misjudged a jump and fell 3 layers down, and the sound Qbert makes, terrifying. Yet hilarious. And don't even get me started on Coily the Snake, because he always seemed to show up just as I was about to finish a level. Still, I couldn't stop playing, and there's something timeless about hopping a blocky pyramid while dodging everything, and like many of these ports, I'd bet Qbert would be even better with an NES-compatible joystick. Maybe it's time I finally cave in and get an NES Advantage. I've always loved the arcade game Tempest, one of my all-time favorites. Until the Atari Jaguar gave us Tempest 2000, there wasn't a great version at home. Then I discovered Gyruss in an old arcade and fell in love again, but at least there's a great port on the NES. If you saw the Atari 2600 port of Tempest, you'd laugh hysterically at it. So thank heaven that there was an early port of Gyruss on the NES. Gyruss is a fast-paced shooter with a twist. Now, instead of moving freely, your ship orbits the center, shooting inward in waves of enemies spiraling from the edges. It's like Galaga meets Tempest, giving it a hypnotic, almost trance-like feel. And the music is actually really excellent as well. The goal is simple: survive each wave, destroy enemy ships, and make it back to Earth. And the thumping, classically inspired soundtrack ramps up the tension with every shot. The NES port isn't arcade perfect, but it does a solid job capturing that spiral shooting chaos. And for an 8-bit system, it's surprisingly intense, and it's a really, really good port of the arcade game. Elevator action. Yeah, the name sounds like a bad 1970s pickup line, and we're not kidding. Hey baby, you want to hit the disco, grab a few drinks, to head back to my hotel for a little bit of elevator action? Not a dancer, I take it? Taito released Elevator Action in 1983, and within 2 years it had jumped to home consoles and computers, landing on the Famicom in 1985 and then the North American NES in 1987. You play a secret agent sneaking through a skyscraper, hopping elevators, dodging enemies, and snatching top-secret documents. It's fast, and still it delivers that arcade thrill. I feel the timing your moves is just as satisfying now as it was in the arcade in the 80s. The NES port isn't exactly like the arcade original, but it's close enough to have a great time. Elevators, escalators, enemy patrols, they all made the jump to 8-bit. The graphics are watered down a tad, and it's a bit stiffer, but the sneaky, high-rise action still translates beautifully to the home console. I don't have an NES Advantage joystick yet, as I mentioned earlier, but I'd bet using one would make this feel a lot closer to the arcade experience. Still, I can't complain too much. At least it's not like that infamous elevator scene in Liar Liar. It was me! You know, some games feed your soul. This one just feeds your arteries. Burger Time turns fast food into pure arcade insanity as you frantically assemble burgers while dodging homicidal pickles and hot dogs. It's equal parts funny and stressful, kind of like working the lunch rush at a leper colony. I keep fumbling around trying to climb these stinking ladders. Maybe a proper joystick instead of the NES gamepad would fix it. Time to get the NES Advantage or comparable arcade joystick. Now that's the third time I've said that in this video. I think I need to go shopping. The NES port is a very close cousin to the arcade original. Difficulty feels just a hair more brutal, but when you finally drop that last button into place, mwah, chef's kiss. Now before we hit number 1, I'd like to give a shout out to my honorable mention, Dig Dug. Yes, I know, technically it's not an NES release for the US, but the Famicom got it. Because of course, Japan got all the good stuff. You dig tunnels, blow up monsters, and hopefully you don't pass out from oxygen loss. Basically, it's like my weekends in college. Weird, sweaty, and spent with a puka named Darla in her dorm room. I've said too much. And the number 1 arcade game on the NES that I'm obsessed with is... Before Super Mario Bros., there was just Mario Bros., or as a lot of people call it, Mario Brothers. A childhood friend and I used to hit this tiny hole-in-the-wall arcade in town and spend at least half a roll of quarters on just this game alone. 2 11-year-olds perched on stools playing Mario Brothers until the cows came home. Easy, Bessie, or at least until we ran out of quarters. We'd seen Mario take on Donkey Kong before, but this time he's teaming up with his brother Luigi. Sorry, I don't have footage of that. I didn't have somebody to play with, so you just get Mario here. It's his first arcade game co-op adventure, and we were happy to have it. Sure, there were ports on the Atari 2600, the 5200, the 7800, and even the Commodore 64, which was surprisingly great, but the NES version, that was the true homecoming. Nintendo's plumbers finally landing on a Nintendo console. This port nails the arcade feel. Fast, frantic, and endlessly fun. Mario and Luigi knock enemies out of pipes, flip them from below, and kick them off stage. All about timing, precision, and sibling rivalry. It still tugs at my nostalgic heartstrings and leaves my rolls of quarters safely in my pocket. Wait, that came out wrong. Never mind. What are your favorite NES arcade ports that I didn't mention here? Or tell me why one of these great titles is your favorite, and do you have a fun and nostalgic story that goes along with it? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Just please don't say bad dudes. The NES port is not that great. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon. All right, that's my cue. The YouTube algorithm demands I say like, subscribe, and click one of these boxes, so yeah. Help me appease it before it starts recommending Nickelback videos again. Go on, click on something there, and check out more Game Closet videos.